Today's episode of This Week in MMO is brought to you by Harry's. To receive $5 off your first order, just head on over to harrys.com and make sure to use promo code GAMEBREAKER.
GameBreaker TV.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to This Week in MMO. It's episode 212. 212 episodes of this show, if you can call it that. Today we're going to talk about H1Z1, we're going to talk about Destiny, we're going to talk about the crew, we're going to talk about Elite Dangerous. Maybe some other stuff. Who knows? Joining us, as always, the Noob Fridge, Mr. Troy Blackburn. How are you, sir?
Currently in the process of still caffeinating. Somebody decided we were doing the show early today, so I was like, well, let me check some caffeine real quick and get ready for this.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what I was thinking today. If you guys aren't watching the live stream, you're like, what is it talking about? But we're doing the show live, and for some reason I just fired everything up about an hour early. I don't know. Just thought.
which is only about an hour since I've been awake. So
there he goes.
There we go.
So Troy's ready to go. J.K. Kennedy, you ready to go?
Oh yeah, well it took us about a half hour to get ready, so
really, yeah, we're like halfway there. It is. It's like we started at 4. It's 4:30. Hey, we're on time. So everybody else watching this, you should show up for the live show. It's fun. Hang out with the chat room for a while.
Messing with my routine though, man. My routine. Gotta
mix it up, man. Gotta keep you fresh and on the ball. Noob Fridge. All right. Big news this week. H1Z1 did a big live stream event to announce early access to the game. You think? I don't know. I would assume almost everyone watching this show is probably clued in on what H1Z1 is. But if you're not, it's Sony Online Entertainment (SOE). They're making a zombie apocalypse survival-esque MMO. So a lot of people obviously wanted.
They saw an opening in the market because there aren't any of those, and they were like, "Oh, we should probably make one of these."
Let's not skirt the line here. You know, it's their version of DayZ.
I don't know if I would make the direct comparison. I mean, you got it, of course, yeah, but I think that
they're planting the seed in their mind.
You wouldn't make the direct comparison, but they sure do.
Okay, so yes, you know, you're watching on the screen now, and you know, it's somewhat DayZ-esque, but I feel like SOE are changing it enough for the MMO crowd that really, like, you know, DayZ is much. It's the map is gigantic, but a lot of people stay somewhere in the cities. Not a persistent world to the sense that like people aren't building cities. I mean, they do take over areas and things like that and hold it, but it doesn't have some of the MMO components that I think people almost wish they had in DayZ to set up maybe player cities and forts and fortifications and guilds and groups. Like, I think a lot of people in DayZ are looking for that stuff, and I think that's where SOE are trying to come up with H1Z1, and they're trying to take the DayZ experience of this zombie apocalypse, what it would be like to, you know, constant struggle and everyone is your enemy, while also giving you the virtual world MMO aspects. I'm pretty excited for H1Z1.
Oh, I'm definitely excited for it. I mean, I guess that's what they're trying to do. I mean, that's SOE, right? They're going to go MMO route of this. They're not the small 64-person servers, and then that's just everything across the entire game is just 64 people is your max limit all the time. I mean, yeah, they're trying to go that much more open world, persistent world experience there. Like, the world itself is persistent on top of everything. Will they be successful with it is another question, especially for a shooter and you're talking about hit detection. I guess we'll find out January 15th for that. But
did either of you guys play DayZ? Were you DayZ fans?
No, I've done a fairly good job of avoiding zombie survival games so far. But this one I'm going to jump into, and a lot of that has to do, I guess, with exactly what you were just talking about, sort of the MMO aspects that SOE are going with this, the faction systems and the sort of building a town and helping defend a town and maybe getting to go, you know, attack some people that we're pissed off at. All that stuff sounds more interesting than just running around in a giant battle arena. which is essentially what DayZ comes across to some of us who
Oh, a
haven't,
lot of
you know,
DayZ fans,
gone
including
hands-on
myself, gonna be
games.
mad at you for that.
Just go ahead and be mad. Just go ahead.
It's just our battle arena. No. Wait. I'm curious to know. So Troy, this is. I'm gonna dig down because this is how the viewers know that Troy is just a MMO player at heart. Like what made you really stay away from DayZ that has you so attracted to this? I mean, so it's not the setting. You like zombie apocalypse, correct?
Yeah, the setting's fine. It's not zombie apocalypse.
It has to
that
be
made me stay away from
persistent.
DayZ. The persistence, yes, that's sort of a big deal. The you know, the world kind of growing around me, and you know, not logging in one day and something's, you know, everything sort of resets, you know, every time you log in. And it's not, I'm kind of, you know, in an MMO type setting, like as what it sounds like SO is trying to build, I can sort of create a home with other people, and that sort of exists, and we have to, you know, work together to make it sort of happen. And when you know, like I said, I haven't played DayZ, so I'm you know, making these assumptions based on what I've watched. I've watched plenty of DayZ being played. It feels more like you and a couple of your friends are just kind of out roaming in the world, and you know, you may shoot a couple of people, or you may get killed a couple of times, and then you log out, and then you log back in the next day. It's just sort of the same thing.
DayZ for me has been some of the best moments in gaming of the past year or two. It is offered some of the most white knuckle, awesome moments in gaming in a long time. I think like emergent gameplay of players being afraid of other players, it nailed it. Justin, were you a fan? Did you play?
I played DayZ. I love the permadeath aspect itself is one of my favorite things. It's in so few games. Like that's just it creates a blood adrenaline pumping, and you're just like, am I going to die here? I have to start all over. I enjoyed that aspect of it. The main thing I just didn't like about DayZ is that it was just a hop around servers type thing, as opposed to a more longer running world that's changing, and that's what I'm hoping it brings here. But I definitely love just the grit and dirty. I'm trying to survive out here, and you shoot me or I shoot you.
Yeah, I agree. There was nothing that felt better or worse. I don't know how you really want to describe it, but when you found like an awesome gun with like the scope, and you had the attachments for it, and you were so scared of getting popped and just losing it, somebody would shoot you from like an apartment complex or something. It was just then you just telling all your boys to like run and guard your body so nobody takes your gun. But
that sounds like things that appeal to shooter players, and I guess for me that's probably
it's a terrible shooter. No, it's a terrible shooter.
Because I'm not a big shooter.
I don't know how that. I don't think that portrays to a shooter player at all. Most shooter players are god people. They just want to die and respawn with their gun already. If you're talking about I mean, some of the survivor.
It's weird because some of the best nights we had, we never even shot one bullet. Like there was no shots fired, and some of those were some of the best nights where you're just like creeping around on the floor and somebody's stalking you outside. Like nobody really wants to just start shooting. I don't know. It's a different type of experience. If they get it right, it's gonna. I think it's gonna be. I haven't played H1Z1. I imagine this is a really tough sort of. What's the word? Just aspect to there's an aspect to DayZ where it's very difficult and not forgiving, yet it creates fun, and it's like it skirts this line of like, wow, you could go a little bit over the edge and be really, really annoying and just too harsh.
I'm slightly worried that they want to go MMO thing. So what are they going to do besides is the MMO aspect just a bigger open world that can change and stuff? Or are we actually going to see some kind of persistent changes with your character that actually sticks between deaths?
It's going to be interesting. We don't know all that much yet. I mean, we have some details, but not a ton. But the big detail we got this week is the early access release date. So if you're looking to get into H1Z1, you don't have to wait too much longer. January 15th, 2015 is the date. That if you pay, obviously it's a pay early access. The basic early access isn't going to be too bad. $19.99 it looks like.
Yeah, that's really.
Yeah, for $20,
That's
even
nice.
even though I get into it and don't like it, it's worth checking it out for $20.
Now, here's the big thing, right? I'm going to do a PSA for SOE right now, but I got to say, for those of you out there, if you don't do good with betas and alphas and bugs and things wrong and, just game-breaking things, you might not want to spend the $20 just because you can. Because if you're not the type of gamer that can overlook some of this stuff, this could really piss you off and maybe turn you off the game because it's going to be broken in spots. This is like, are they calling this? They're calling it an early access, I believe. But, it's essentially alpha, right?
Yeah, and they straight up say it, this is alpha. And they warn you, of course, with Steam's new rules, they have to tell you. They have to warn you. But, they say, is it going to be a finished game? Absolutely not. If that's what you're expecting, do not buy early access.
Yeah, I would say if you're not really interested and can't sort of you're just gonna get frustrated and say this game sucks. You might just want to wait. Just wait. Maybe pick it up on release when they work all this stuff out.
The other side of this is there are going to be people who don't get the message, and no matter how many times they say it, we say it, everybody says it. There are going to be a ton of people who pour into this thing for $20 and are absolutely butthurt that it's not a finished game, that it's buggy, that it's broken, and are gonna talk smack on the game, and they're going to make up their mind right there. It's a bad game, and they're never going to come again.
They're going to compare
That's the downside to going big open early access. Everybody can get in. It happened to DayZ, and a lot of people. Like, when I talk DayZ, I talk the things that just don't appeal to me personally, personal preference type stuff. But a lot of people are like, oh, the bugs, it's a
people still forget that DayZ is still in early access.
Exactly.
That has not launched yet.
People forget, or they never knew to begin with because they just never get the message. That's the way it is when you open the big early access doors open to everybody. It's going to happen.
I think the scary thing for me, too, with DayZ
they've got to be ready for it. This can't be a big surprise that's going to happen at some point.
I do hate to say I've lost a little hope in DayZ, mainly because the main lead developer, the guy who basically put the game together, Rocket, did state that he was leaving.
Yeah, he's done.
He's pretty much done.
He's done, and he started
a whole other studio.
Yeah, he announced his new studio this week. So I'm not saying that Bohemian Interactive can't really pull it together and really get this game too, but I think Rocket was a big draw for a lot of players. He was like the face of it. And I guess, maybe some of it's false, maybe some of it's real, that we associate a lot of the design direction that game took, directly attributing it to him. I don't know how true or false that is, but I know that's the perception amongst the gaming community of that, he was the guy who was calling the shots. Now he's no longer with the game, so now we have to kind of wait and see. Like I said, I'm going to pay the $20. I feel like I'm a good... Do you guys feel like you're good early access players? I feel like I'm a good little early access player.
Betas, alphas, all that stuff. I have the ability to go in, find bugs, report bugs, but see past, the bugs that exist and kind of see where they're going. I think all three of us, especially, we've been around the block. We've done that enough that we can kind of see past the bug as it exists and see kind of where they're going with it and kind of get a feel for what the game is probably going to turn out to be.
Do you play?
But I think people like us, or the people even watching this show, are not the ones who are going to be. There may be some watching this show who react badly, but for the most part, I think a lot of them are of a more understanding crowd, and they're like, okay, this is an early access game.
Yeah.
It's going to be people who don't pay attention to anything. They don't read anything, and they're on Steam, and they see H1Z1's out. Awesome. Click.
Buy.
Get mad.
This is broke.
The first week that the early access goes live, Reddit will be interesting to watch.
Do you guys get really invested in alpha games? Do you play a lot, or do you kind of, or does it really just depend on the game and if you're having fun, or do you curb your game time?
It depends on the game. It depends on the game and how much I'm wanting it to be like my mainstay game when it comes out fully and things. Like if I want to put in the effort to actually help them develop it a lot more, then I'm probably playing it a lot more and interacting with them.
I feel like
and see, I'm exactly the opposite. I would probably play a little more if I don't think it's something I'm going to play, because if I make up my mind pretty early on that I'm going to like this game and I want to play it, I want to get to a point to where I can understand the game and be able to, talk about it and analyze it, but I don't want to go too far and spoil some things for myself when I go back to officially play it. Yeah.
Use early access as your demo.
To an extent, I'm not really going in looking at it as a demo. I'm just like, at some point I'll make up my mind, hey, I'm going to play this once it's officially launched, so I just stop, so that I don't have to go through, so I don't spend 8 hours at max level in alpha just to go back and do all that.
I kind of do the same thing, and then I revisit it on major patches and when they kind of do big updates. That's what I did a lot with Elite Dangerous. I played a bunch on the front end when I first got access to Elite Dangerous, which we're going to be talking about later in the show. Got to the point where I finally, kind of understood the game, really liked it. But then just kind of like said, okay, I want to stay away from this a while. I knew there was going to be wipes and things like that. And then just kept coming back when there was like major patches, check out what they're adding to the game. So I am definitely going to be checking out H1Z1. January 15, 2015 is the date. So you're going to be able to pick that up on Steam for $20. There are going to be some more expensive. Is there one more expensive tier or are there multiple tiers? Do we know because there's some different access, right?
I think there's just a second package option.
Have they announced what that is?
They've announced the price yet or not. I couldn't find it right off the bat. They may have. But it just gives you extra game mode servers, which you can still get with the cheaper one, but it's through in-game microtransactions.
Interesting. Yeah, I know they've talked a lot about utilizing this time on the live stream. They talked a bit about trying to see what the players want, what types of servers players want, how many people want them. So they're pretty much open to doing almost anything as long as the players actually, show that they actually want it. So this actually, for those of you out there who are into these games and, you want to help out and test and kind of alpha, it is a good experience to kind of get in there and let SOE know what you're into and what you're not into and give them feedback, because I'm sure they're going to be listening, especially on stuff like that with different types of servers, game modes, all that good stuff.
At this point, you're helping shape what the game is going to turn into. I mean, I think they said that in part of their statement that that's what they're looking for as well. Testing bugs and reporting and stuff like that, helping shape what they they want to find out what the players want the game to kind of turn into. So this is your chance to do so.
They were asked the DayZ question quite a bit, though, weren't they? They were specifically asked, was it going to be better than DayZ on day one of the game?
And they responded.
Yes, so their response to hit this home, the question that they were asked was, will this be better than DayZ on day one? And the answer was, no, it won't. They say, we'll get asked that question a lot, and I wanted to be upfront about it. I think this is Smedley talking, right? Is this John Smedley?
Yes.
Yes, CEO of SOE. So he said, no, it won't. Day one will not be better than DayZ. There you go. There's your answer. He said, we'll get asked that question a lot. I want to be really upfront about it. He said, we're not as feature rich, and they have a lot of really cool stuff we just don't have yet. He said, that being said, we're also a different game. We're an MMO, and our goals are to create a large-scale world that gives you the incredible feeling of being a survivor in a zombie apocalypse. So there you go. If you're a DayZ fan and you're looking to get into this and you're just thinking because it's SOE and you're just thinking because it's Sony that even their early access is going to, it's got to be better than DayZ, right? It's SOE.
My question is, does DayZ still have like almost no zombies in it?
No.
Or did they finally patch those in?
There was a lot. You're talking like week of live release. Catch up, brother. No, there was a lot of
half a year at least without them.
Yeah, they had a good amount of zombies in there now. But to me, the great thing about DayZ is, and that's what I hope this game gets right, is the zombies were never that scary. Like, the zombies weren't the threat. That isn't what DayZ's about. The threat are people. Yeah. They are the enemy.
It's a giant battle.
The zombies were just an obstacle.
Yeah, they were just a nuisance. They were just to oh my God, I dropped that can and now zombies just blew my cover in town.
They were an alarm system for players.
Exactly. They were an alarm system when you went into Cherno.
The zombies are running this way if you're somebody over there.
Well, there you go. Mark your calendars. The other thing we found out, too, they're going to start with a 64K square kilometer map. I don't know exactly how to put that into perspective of how large that's going to be.
Yeah, because I don't know how the player size is to the game. But.
No idea.
You don't have to. On the very first day this goes live, somebody will walk across the entire map and then tell us how big it really is.
Yeah, they'll record it. They'll put it in a video. Time for that.
I am curious to see
how big the steps are, and they'll tell you exactly how.
I am curious to see how it is in relation to DayZ's map. Obviously, we're just going to keep making DayZ comparisons till the end of time.
It's inevitable. It's going to happen, and there's nothing that they or anybody else
until they can surpass it. Unless they surpass it, then this game just becomes the quote-unquote one to reference everything for.
All right, well, mark your calendars. Definitely going to be checking that one out. All right, really quick, I want to tell you about our sponsor of this week's show, which is Harry's. Harry's. Fix this. Go to harrys.com. They got an awesome promotion. $5 off your first purchase just by using the promo code GameBreaker. They just sent me this. I'm excited for this. I've been using this, and my wife's excited as well. The new aftershave lotion. Ooh. You know women love a man who smells good. This stuff smells so good. This came in the mail. My wife was like, "Oh my God, put that on." Yes. Check this out. Seriously, the new Harry's aftershave lotion is great. I love it. It really helps after a shave. I've got that on now. And also they've sent me the new, it's not new, but the foaming shave gel is now actually available in their kits, which wasn't before. And that's definitely worth it. So you got Christmas coming up. Like I said, you got to smell good for the ladies, gentlemen. Got to smell good for the ladies. Let's go to harrys.com. I love this service. Do you guys understand how the service works? You buy a kit. You see, looking at one right here. That's the Winston. You get the shaver. You get some shaving gel. You get a couple blades. And then they send you blades like on a time interval in the mail. You don't have to like go to the store and worry about buying new razor blades. They just send them to you. And they're totally affordable. They're really, really good and well priced. And you tell them how often you shave, and they base how many they send you based on that. So it's not like you're going to get like this overabundance of, blades just showing up every other week. It's great. $2 or less for blades. I hate going to the store to buy blades and that kind of stuff. It's stuff I just always forget. And really, guys out there, if you're still using some store-bought, cheapy shaving blade thing, do yourself a favor. It's time to pick up a Harry's kit. Because seriously, there's nothing better than having a good shave. Check it out. Check it out. Check it out. Get $5 off just by using the promo code GameBreaker. Let's go to harrys.com. $5 off. That's on first-time purchases. Go check it out. If you pick one up, man, tweet at me because I'd love to hear about it. Make sure you tweet Harry's too, but I'd love to hear about it and your experience with it because I love this. I love these services where like I don't want to think about this stuff. I don't want to go to the store and buy this stuff. So it just shows up. I don't think about it. I got the aftershave. I got the lotion. I got the blades. Smelling good. Ladies be loving you.
And that's the important part. The ladies are happy.
Isn't that really the important part? Isn't it really? I mean, come on. That's really what it's all about. So check it out. All right, next up, let's talk about something that we've been not teasing, but we talked a lot about The Crew, the car PG, the MMO car racing game before it came out. And then we kind of fell off the radar a little bit on it. And Justin, you picked it up and you were playing a bunch. Yes. And we said we would come back and talk about it. Now, I'm right up front. This is going to be like interview time with Justin because I have not played. I've played beta, but I did not actually play the game. I do know I've been watching a lot of the reviews and seeing what's out there, and it's not looking so hot.
A lot of the reviews.
Not looking so good.
Not so many.
Not so many reviews and not so good on the reviews. So, The Crew is an MMO. It's a car-based racing MMO. Give me your first time. Troy, you're not playing this on either, right? So feel free to jump.
No, I'm not playing live right now. I'm going to eventually after other things sort of a little time passes. I've got too much on my plate right now.
Well, hold on, because we're going to talk to Justin, and you might just change your mind on that, brother, because you might just say, maybe I won't be playing it. I don't know. But what's your initial thoughts? Because you were really excited about this one, Justin. So, I want to hear. You've now had your hands on it for a good 2 weeks. Let's talk about the cars first and just the feel. I mean, that's the most important thing, right? How do the cars feel? It's a racing game. They gotta feel good. How do they feel in The Crew?
The cars feel good enough, which is a very sensible question there. When I say good enough, they obviously have all different types of cars, right? Like they have the circuit cars, you have the street cars, the dirt model cars, and they have them drive all different types of areas. But it's kind of question, like sometimes you just feel like you're really good sticking to the ground well, handling works really well. Other times you're just like, how the hell do I take this turn without flying off the track or flying off the road or anything? So it's kind of confusing, and whether it's just it's a grind progression for the system, which they try to create their MMO side of it, is you literally have to go out there and do the races and do the little what do they call them? Like little, I don't want to say quest. They're not quests. They're like little trials and stuff to see how fast you can do, and you get a part to upgrade your car. And when you start upgrading it, it starts feeling good. But until you upgrade your car, you are driving a crappy car.
But now that makes sense to me, right? Because I mean, this is a little bit unlike a single-player racing game where the cars do progressively feel different when you get them in, say, like a Horizon or something like that. With being an MMO and an online game, with the amount of customization that is in this, is mind-blowing how much you can change in your car. They had to really start you off with some pretty poor cars, I would believe, to get you into the whole gearing up kind of thing, just like an MMO where you need a better helmet and a better sword, and you need better tires and better brakes.
Yeah, and it definitely starts you off with the cheap ones. I actually chose to use the car that came with the pre-order package as opposed to one of the starter cars that you can buy. I think the one that came with the pre-order was a little bit better, but you could only use it for street racing. But it worked pretty well on upgrading it, and I got through it. I can race against people, and I started winning races real easily, which made me question the AI's skill. I thought I sucked, and then I was winning everything. I don't know. Maybe I got better.
I should be worse than this.
I was surprised how good I was doing. But it took me a while to also learn how the braking and stuff works. Maybe that's just me being out of touch with it. But I finally learned how to take corners and things, and so that got much better within it. And then you can upgrade to have a GPS thing that actually tells you when to slow down or speed up around corners, which makes it even easier now. But yeah.
So there's literally a dummy light that says, "Hey, dummy, there's a curve up here. You might want to slow down."
Well, you know how you have, so in the game, for people who played it or didn't play it, you had like that blue line going above your head as a GPS thing. That's sort of like it tracked you on the course you're supposed to go. Well, you get upgrades so that you have that during races. Instead of being in the air, it's on the ground actually during the race. And if you upgrade it all the way, it now shows red lines where you need to slow down.
That's like a pretty standard thing in a lot of racing games. I think it's the Forza series is one of them where it shows you how you're taking this corner too fast, and you can slow down as you're getting closer.
Which helps tremendously during the races. Like I'm like, crap, I would have never figured out to slow down right here before I came into this big huge curve. I was waiting to the curve and just slamming on my emergency brake.
So now one thing that I've been hearing from players is the lack of being able to actually find a lot of players to play with. Now, this is an online game. It is an MMO. You are supposed to be racing against a lot of other people. And one thing I'm hearing from people is that they're finding a lot of games that aren't being matched up with real players. What is going on?
That there is my biggest critique of the game right now. My biggest dislike is that I have only raced with or against a couple people in the game at this point. A couple people. I've seen them in the game running around.
Now, what's going on? Is this something with like the network code not being able to work properly? Do you just not know? But I would imagine it's a brand new game. You should be like, with however many people are in a race nonstop. I had this problem in beta the week before at the PS4. I think it was during Thanksgiving weekend I played. That was the last I played, but I played quite a bit over that weekend. We had some downtime. And I had the same problem during the weekend. I just attributed it to the fact that it was Thanksgiving weekend and everybody had lives except me, and I was playing the crew. So there was nobody online. That's what I kind of thought.
I think there's two things that are attributed to this. One is how the code does work. There's obviously they're not going to fit everyone who's playing the game onto the exact same map. As much as it's an MMO, they can't put everybody into that entire world map at once on you. That's just not going to work. So they obviously have what they call, I'm assuming they call them sessions is what it looks like in the game, which are instances as we know them. So they have people split up between instances. Well, that instance could contain I don't know how many people it contains. But let's say it contains 50 people, just for a basic relative number. Well, that's 50 people almost across the entire map. So those 50 people, when you go to a race and you go to search anybody with you, oftentimes you just get a message saying no one in your not no one in your instance, no one in your session. And it's like, okay, well that's because there's nobody who is near that race.
Like lining up to play that race right now in your instance. Wow. So you've been playing a bunch and you've only had a handful of races with actual other people. So you're essentially
no communication with them either. So
you're essentially playing a single player racing game then.
Yes, you are basically, for the most part, playing this game single player against AI.
That is terrible. Considering the entire because there are much better. I will go out on a limb and say there are better racing games than this. Even I haven't played the release of The Crew. I would put everything on Forza being a better single player game. So the big draw is that you're going to play against other people, and you can't play against other people.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's worse. And that's not even the worst of it. Though. Like, so you want to play against other people, and they have this whole like faction war system with like these faction missions for racing and stuff.
There's nobody to war against, is there?
It's not even that. There may be nobody to go against, but these races can take an hour.
What?
An hour-long race with no one to talk to and no actual person to race against him a lot of the times.
Is it like freaking cross-country?
I want to put so think of these as like the raids, like the dungeons.
They're supposed to be an hour long?
Think of like a dungeon MMO. I think that's what these races are supposed to be like. But imagine it as a dungeon where you go through the whole dungeon 100 times before you fight the boss. Because it's laps, right? So you have 100 laps or 64 laps.
Troy, you still getting into this after you have to finish those other things that are on your map?
These are optional things.
If I bring some folks with me, it sounds like I'm going to bring my own people to play with.
Yeah, I like racing games.
The whole MMO PvP side of it is that part, and that's the whole MMO PvP side of it that I don't even touch. I get to it, I get to the match, I'm like, I got into one, I'm going through it, I'm like, man, this. I was like, I'm looking up, I go, 2 laps out of 64. What the f? I hit start, exit. It went on to another.
Well,
don't even bother with it. You're just like, as soon as you realize, you're just like, okay, no.
Yeah, you're not the only one. I mean, looking at Metacritic just to kind of look before the show and look at all this review scores. I mean, it's not doing so great. PC, it's hitting around a 73. I know GameSpot gave it, I think, a 5. They were pretty brutal. A 5. It's hitting around like this anywhere on the PS4 side. I think it's somewhere sitting around the 60 number, 60 out of 100. Xbox is sitting around 70 and PC's around 72 or 73. So it's sitting in that like 60 to 70 range. It's just, a 6 or a 7, basically, you could say. Not doing so great. And then they had another little debacle. That was today. Player statistics got erased, or servers didn't load data correctly. I mean, is everything safe for for players who are playing? I think they were freaking out because they logged in and didn't see any kind of stats or anything. But
I haven't seen if a patch has come out yet. It was supposed to come today, but basically players are loading in, their stats weren't loading, and because they weren't loading, the server was erasing them.
Yeah, they got some growing pains right there. They got some growing pains.
But they did say you did not lose your car's money and levels. That stuff was safe.
Okay.
So I think it might have just been like your times on races and stuff like that, and maybe I'm not sure what all other stats it was keeping track of. But your car's money and levels were apparently safe.
Good times. All right. So I don't know. Thumbs up, thumbs down. What do you say? Would you tell people at this point to pick up The Crew? I mean, we I'm gonna finish the story side of it and get through all that. I think that's gonna be decently fun enough for it. I would wait though till it goes on sale for somebody. The game does not make a hard enough impression itself, but to be able to do circuit racing, dirt racing, going through all the environments itself, that's still pretty decently cool with it, and going across the entire United States. Now, one thing I want to know for players, maybe they're on the fence and maybe they are still thinking about picking it up. There's no subscription. It's an MMO, but no subscription, right?
No subscription, but there are huge microtransactions.
As in cars, parts.
If you want to put a sticker on your car, a little tiny sticker, it was a ridiculous price.
Like what? Like how much?
I actually didn't even convert it. I didn't convert the money wise. But if you compare it to, it was like 3 times. If you look at the in-game money, I'll put it this way because it's the easiest way I can put it. And with the in-game money system, one sticker was 3 times the price of my car.
Wow.
Whoa.
In-game. So they definitely were like, yeah, why don't you use the real cash instead?
Stickergate.
But outside, it's mostly cosmetics. You can spend real money to unlock cars as well and to buy parts. So yeah, you can pay to win almost. And you can't buy some of the high-end parts, but overall, it's you just get the transactions, whatever. Just go and race and get it.
Well, for any of you out there still thinking about it, I don't know. It sounds to me like this might be a hold and wait and see, or possibly just pass. But I don't know. That's just me. I don't know.
There is one good thing. I was going to say no bugs except for today's.
It was running well.
But the game did launch better than Assassin's Creed Unity or Far Cry 4 in terms of performance.
Big ups. Big ups to Ubi. All right.
And the 8 people in the game noticed.
All right, next up. Tell me about the controversy going on in Destiny. So the expansion launched, the Dark Blue, the expansion, but it was required for high-level content play, which a lot of people didn't really see coming. So what happened here? Was the strikes?
So I don't know if you know this, Troy, or not. The strikes in the game are your in-game content to do over and over again in order to level up and stuff, and they switch them out on a weekly basis in-game. So each week they switch out and go, here's a new heroic and here's a new nightfall strike. Here's the one you're going to do. This is your high-level content. It's almost absolutely needed in order to advance the high-level player in the game.
So you pretty much have to do these during the week to level.
If you want to level up.
Right.
If that's what you're playing, which people probably are logging in now because they want to level up.
And they were in the game before the expansion, right? But now that the expansion's out, you have to have the expansion to do them.
Well,
this week, is
that correct? Well, wait.
It's out weekly.
They come out weekly and they switch them out. I'll let Justin finish. We're getting close. It's a little bit different than that, but yeah, you're on the right track.
So the expansion launched, and I guess it's the same thing that happens in almost any shooter game with a map pack. The strikes for the new expansion became part of the rotation.
And they were that week's rotation.
And they were immediately thrown in that very first week right away with no like a warning, no information was given ahead of time. Just like, boom, here's this week's heroic strikes. There's no other option but these two, and these two are both DLC required. You need to buy the expansion to be able to do them.
That's still just as dirty. Especially the very first new round, and it's like, boom, here you gotta have the DLC to do them. Ouch.
But I mean, I guess on the flip side, did anybody really, if you really thought about it, I think a lot of people just didn't think about this, but if you'd really thought about it, would you not expect them to put those in the rotation the first week? It's the newest content, you know? I mean, people have been doing the existing strikes now for weeks and if not months, and you'd expect them to kind of put the new stuff in there as the rotation. But I guess nobody really kind of put two and two together.
I want to see it, but I feel like games usually at this point, like when they release an expansion, it's almost like they add in like an additional now you've got 2 strike options for each one. And one of those might be on the previous content that's always there, and then one has the new content.
I see what you're saying. So that would have been a kind of a nice in-between where, hey, here are 2 maps that we know you already have and everyone has access to, and here's also 2 new strikes from the DLC that are in the rotation as well. So
yeah, just give more options.
Especially the very first week. I mean, at least. Jeez.
Yeah, people were not very happy with this decision. The internet kind of was a little bit unhappy. Eric Osborne, he's the head of community over there, said, and I quote, he said, all existing strikes and maps are still accessible. Specific activities like Nightfall will periodically feature Expansion 1 content on the week the newest content is live. So
we can expect this going forward.
You can expect this for pretty much every expansion. Now that the first week, the strike content will be the content you need to purchase, or you're going to be sitting out and not playing for a bit. What's the word on the street on the content, though?
I've heard that the raid was actually really fun.
Yeah,
people who did the raid and they enjoyed it.
I need to get back into the Destiny. I really enjoyed Destiny. I did not get to the raiding aspect of it. I got a buddy who's like insanely into it. Just loves it.
They're still doing matchmaking though for raid.
Yes, that's what kind of kills it for me, is that I don't have the static group, but that's what they want to go for. So, but as far as everything I hear about the actual raid mechanics and what they're doing in game with raids is actually supposed to be really good. Like, it just feels really good. Lots going on, and now that it's with being an FPS, people are really loving it. So, well, we'll see what they do. But I guess gamers going forward on Destiny, that's going to probably be the norm going forward.
Yeah, at least you should expect this from now on. Every DLC that they've got planned in the future, kind of just know that this is going to happen.
You know what's funny is there was probably like 1 million people who bought the expansion. Obviously, they didn't say a word because they could play the game. It was just the ones who couldn't. Who took to the internet. I can't play.
30 people on Reddit.
That unhappy vocal minority, man. That can be legit sometimes.
They are legit. They are loud and legit. All right, next up, I'm not going to play the actual trailer, especially because the song is great, but I don't want to get flagged on YouTube for it. So I'm not going to play it here. But Elite Dangerous launched a new launch trailer. Go check it out. It's on their official website. It's on the YouTube page. It's also on Game Breaker. You can search it there as well, obviously. Really great trailer.
So I have to ask you now.
Okay.
This game launches December 16th. That gives 5 days.
Yeah.
You've played the game.
Yeah.
This is an actual launch.
Yeah.
Not some early access thing anymore. This is launch.
Yeah.
Is it worth it?
Very difficult question to answer, sir. Very difficult. So, I love it. I say yes. For me, totally. I may be a weirdo, and I don't know. I just have this crazy fascination with just being a space pirate and just living in space and getting off this goddamn rock called Earth.
I guess that's this question. Does it have more online components than the crew does?
Yes, sort of.
I'm sold.
Hesitation, though. There was hesitation in that answer.
Well, you do see a lot of NPCs, but yes. So, so Elite is a tough one. So if you're coming from a straight traditional MMO background and you're looking for that type of experience, it may not be what you think it's going to be. If you're looking for it to be dogfighting EVE Online, it may not be what you want it to be. It's for the people who really like it, we seem to really love it, and we're also really interested to see where this game goes, because I think this is one that's got legs for a really long time. I think we're going to be talking about EVE for years to come, and I think it's going to grow. Yes, Elite Dangerous. I think it's going to grow, and I think it's going to be really interesting how it kind of progresses. I think the thing right now for a lot of there's two camps. If you're an old school Elite player, if you played these games back in the day, which if you're an old man like me, you played Elite. There was no real end game. Like, you got to Elite status, which is like when you did all these different things, you got to the point of like, I'm Elite, I got Elite status, but you just kept flying around space. So for some people, they're kind of confused, going like, is there raids? No. Is there end game? No. Can I own parts of space? No.
What a raid be like? Fly through a space station and shoot things?
So for a lot of people, they're kind of confused as to what the end game is. And you know what? There really isn't any. There really isn't any end game. If you're like an astronomy nerd and you like warping into a system and being like drooling over the fact that you found like a green star and you stare at it for 5 minutes, you're like, that's freaking awesome. And then you mine stuff and you trade route stuff. It's much more of a virtual world of what's going on in the world. Now, like I said, I don't think we've seen and how everything's going to work out with the economy and how like they're going to build the virtual world out. But if you're looking for something to sort of handhold you, there are quests in the game. There's a way to make, you can use them to make some money. It's really not, so it's kind of this weird hybrid, and I don't think it's fully fleshed out yet. I don't think they fully know what Elite Dangerous is going to be. But for space nerds like me, I love it. I got the Track IR going, got Oculus going, I got the SciTech going. Forget it. And I could just spend hours just flying around. You can you can mine rocks. You can play the trading game with buying and selling resources from stations. You can explore territories and systems that have never been explored before with scanning devices. Like there's just, but there's no real like insane payoff. Like you're not gonna like all of a sudden like warp in on like a raid fleet dogfight and you're gonna feel like the most epic thing in the world. But it does suck when like something blows you out of the sky. So I don't know if that answers your question. I don't know, but I really like it.
Well, I was a huge fan of Darkfall Online and Mortal Online, and I want something in space that's just sort of like that sandbox feel to it.
Yeah, but I wouldn't even say it's like that because so the thing that's different is they're not allowing the number of players in certain, like it is instanced and there's only X number of people within systems. So it's unlike Eve where you could have like 500 people all warp in to the same spot and then have a war go on. They don't have it built out like that. Which again, I'm even a little bit skeptical on some of the long-term choices that they've made to see like, wow, is this really gonna players are gonna want some sort of persistence at some point, and maybe I personally think wanting to maybe like own parts of space and things like that and trying to lock them down with corporations. That's the Eve brain talking again for me even. Mm-hmm. And they're not going for that, and I don't know. Like I don't know what's gonna happen in the future, but it's gorgeous. It's super simmy. I mean, this is not you come up to a spaceport, you've got to like go into your menus, request docking, get access to docking, land on the right space pad. Like it's total sim. So.
And it sounds like right now it's as much that as anything else. Sort of just, a space sim. Go out and experience flying your ship and
all Elite ever was.
And, take up a couple of jobs or whatever.
Yeah, that's what Elite always was. It's a space simulator, It's so I don't know if that answers your question. Does that answer your question? I don't know.
I'll have to try it out. I think that's what I said. I guess that answers my question. I want to get in and shoot people down. That's what I want to do. I just want to go shoot people's ships down.
Yeah, I mean, you can do that. You can be a pirate. You can interdict people. And, you can pull people out of warp, and you can scan their ships and see what they're carrying and look for good cargo and find ships that are just hauling stuff and then try and blow them out of the sky. You can do all those things. So it's all there. It's just not as it's just definitely a little bit different. It stays much truer to the original Elites. What's weird to me is that it stays very true to the original Elites, which were single player games and didn't have an online component. So now when you add the online component to it, okay, well now it's 2014, almost 15. What's going to make Elite even better? If you're making it online, there should be a reason that it's online, not just I see some people once in a while, which is why, again, who knows what's going to happen? Could I see them in time allowing players to build space stations? Sure, possibly. It seems like you'd want to do something like that. Who knows? The map and it's I could talk about this for hours because it's just totally geeking me out. A couple weeks ago, like I think I told you guys on a Sunday, I fired it up and I hadn't played in a while. The new patch came out. It was like the last big patch before we were going live, and literally like I think it was like 12 or 14 hours later, my wife was like, "Hey, are you gonna eat or like do anything today?" And I'm like, "Sorry, I'm flying around space, listening to the Eagles, space trucking, hauling cargo."
I could definitely see them doing something space station wise with the idea of like creating, like you have an opportunity to run into a certain pocket of space that you did after you go through a warp, and you could randomly end up in somebody's pocket of space.
There's black holes.
Space station and stuff.
There's black holes. Who knows what's on the other side? I don't know where it takes you. I watched this one video where this guy found a black hole. It's the first time I've ever seen one. It was like amazing and terrifying at the same time. It was like he didn't fly into it though, which I don't know. Like there's supposed to be wormholes you could fly into. Who knows where you're coming out? You could come out like there's 400 billion star systems. 400 billion star systems. That means that the entire world, the star system, will never ever all be discovered, and people will be endlessly like going through. So who knows? I don't know. Last I played in beta, I jumped in. They opened up the map, and I flew right to Sol, which is basically Earth, and I had to see Earth. You could see. I don't know, you could see. I mean, I've got a fuel scoop. So, like, I don't have to buy fuel. I can fly close to planets and, like, collect gas.
You just pick up the gas off the planet. As you
I pick up gas off the planet for 12 hours, Justin. That is what I do with my life. Are you happy that I'm telling you this? You're playing racing games with a couple other people. I am pulling gas off of a planet so I don't have to. I can actually get to the next system. That's what I'm doing. And I'm very excited about that. Why, I don't know.
So when you say something like that, it doesn't sound that exciting, but the enthusiasm in your voice for that is just like, okay, maybe that is absolutely amazing.
That's why it's a hard question to answer, because it's you're either gonna find that totally cool, or you're just gonna be like, wow, this is the lamest thing I've ever done.
So can you collect more gas if you're by a gaseous planet?
Yes, you have to be near a gaseous planet, and the larger the star is, the more gas it does, the hotter it is too, because you have to worry about heat. And if you stay too long, your fucking cockpit starts like going on fire, and you got heat warnings, and there's all kinds of crazy intricacies. It's nuts. You can do all kinds of shit. Like, people be chasing you. You can like drop down to silent mode, but your ship gets all cold, and like ice starts forming on your glass because you're trying to be silent, so they can't scan you, and you're hiding and shit. It's crazy. It's crazy.
I meant to ask you the other day when you linked me that black hole video. The dude's windshield, was that ice forming, or was his windshield starting to crack?
That was ice.
I thought his windshield was cracking.
It's one or the other. It's either from heat. I don't remember on that one if it's from heat or ice. But yes, so like if your ship takes too much damage from heat, being close to too many stars or something like that, you'll start seeing stuff like that. I mean, your internal cockpit can go on fire. And then you can like shut the oxygen tanks off to like, deplete the oxygen so the fire fucking goes out. Yes, that is cool. All right.
I just remember like you were like, you linked me that video and you were all excited about dude found a black hole. I haven't seen one of those before. And I'm watching the video. I'm like, is this dude's ship about to implode?
I was waiting for the window to explode and him to be sucked out of his ship.
I was like, oh, this is going to be terrible.
I've had some moments where your ship, your shields are done, you're wiped out, the glass is all almost shattered. You're like and I've been in points where like the ship was that just banged up, and I was super low on fuel. The reason what happened was, I was scooping fuel off of a planet. And they're super hot. It's a sun, basically, right? And I'm scooping fuel off of it, and the heat's going up, and you're trying to play this heat game where you're staying close enough to get enough fuel. And what happens? Some player rolls up on me and starts opening fire on me. Now I'm super close to this thing. I'm trying to get away, and heat levels are going critical. We're fighting, and I'm trying to get away, but I'm not getting away fast enough, and it was just a whole disaster. And those are the moments too when you're just like, man, I gotta try. Some people, you get stuck between star systems. You're running out of gas. It's crazy.
How do they handle death in that game? Is it perma and you start over, or is there like a clone?
So if your ship gets blown up, basically, when you respawn, there's an insurance cost. So I forget what it is. It's like 5%, 10% of whatever the ship's cost was. If you have you should be flying around with that much money in your bank so you can get your ship back. So it's insurance basically. You collect different things. All right. Got to take one more quick break and tell you about our sponsor of this segment of the show, and that is Audible. Love the Audible. Want to hook you guys up with a free 30-day trial and a free audiobook. That is right. Just by going to gboffer.com/audible, you're going to get a free audiobook and a free 30-day trial. We were talking about some zombies before. I was looking these up before. I think I'm going to put this next on my list. They got the Walking Dead books. This one is supposed to be really good. The Road to Woodbury. It's got like 4 stars, a lot of ratings. So check it out. Let me see if I can get a list of this.
And the fallow fields south of Atlanta have hardened. Not that this is a bad thing. The tough clay is also porous and dry, for the moment at least. Hence the decision to pitch camp here. Winter's coming, and this contingent has been regrouping here for over a week, settling in, recharging, rethinking their futures. If indeed they have any futures. You kinda just let the head fall on it. The burly African-American demonstrates next to her, making swinging motions with his enormous arm. His huge hands look as though they could cover her entire head. Use gravity and the weight of the hammer. It takes a great deal of conscious effort for Lily not to stare at the black man's arm.
I totally forgot we were doing a show.
Down.
I'm just listening
Even
to this
crouching
audio
in
book.
a sleeveless denim shirt and ratty down vest, Josh Lee Hamilton cuts an imposing figure.
Tour this week is 10 hours long.
Built like an NFL tackle, with monolithic shoulders, enormous tree trunk.
Check it out, check it out, check it out. That is The Walking Dead. That could be yours absolutely free just by going to gboffer.com/audible. Make sure you use that URL. It helps both the show and it helps you because you get the free 30-day trial and the free audiobook. And you could choose that, or you could choose one of the other, books from the tens or hundreds of thousands of books they have. They got a bunch of stuff: World of Warcraft, Star Wars, lots of sci-fi, a lot of great books. But that looks like a good one. So check out The Walking Dead. Ready Player One is one I love to let people know about.
That was the most recent one I've listened to on Audible, which was incredible.
If you're someone who has to drive to a lot of places, like you can't regret having an Audible subscription.
Nope.
Like, I love it.
Oh, that's one of my favorite times. If I'm road tripping somewhere, man, I'll load up a freaking audiobook in a heartbeat.
Check it out, gboffer.com/audible. All right, so last up this week, we mentioned this last week, and we weren't really sure, but we knew there was going to be an announcement about Borderlands Online. So we're back. If you guys didn't see the news, it's a little disappointing.
A little.
Yeah, we had an idea it was going to be this, but at the end of the day, we didn't know for sure. So you kind of held out hope that maybe it was going to be something that affected us and something we could be excited about. But, whatever.
So Borderlands Online has been announced, but only for China. So Borderlands Online is announced for China sometime in 2015. It's when they talked about multi-devices. It looks like it's going to be PC and mobile devices. They're saying it's an action RPG and an online shooter. It is being developed by 2K, Gearbox, and Shanda out of Shanghai. And they talked about they're going to have 4 classes: the Soldier, the Hunter, the Siren, and the Berserker. So who knows? I mean, maybe there's still a possibility that this will come here, but just so this doesn't look like it's going to be like a full-on MMO, does it?
No, when they say PC and mobile, that pretty much tells you it's not going to be like just full-on MMO.
I always
like we were
wonder if
hoping
they
it would be.
arena. I always wonder if it's just arena shooter.
It's possible.
Though I do wonder, so if the announcement for China was through the website, and if there's just possibly we'll have a Western announcement at maybe a convention coming up.
Look at Justin just totally like...
He's supposed to hold on to the hope,
He's
man.
holding on. He's like, you know what? Maybe they just announced it and we're going to get it anyway. Who knows? All right. Justin Kennedy. Follow him on Twitter at JKKennedyTV. And, of course, right here on This Week in MMO every Thursday. I'd say come and join the live show, but I just keep changing the times in the live show, so I probably will tell you a time, and then I'll just do it at the wrong time. So maybe don't watch the live show. Maybe just show up and watch it on GameBreaker.tv. Troy Blackburn, follow him on Twitter at NoobFridge. Check out all his great writings over on the GameBreaker.tvs as well. And right here on TWIMMO. We do the show live on Thursdays, usually at 5 PST. Come on over for that.
If you were surprised today, it's okay. I was just as surprised as you were.
Everyone was surprised that I just fired up the show early for no reason at all, but that's how we do it.
You just wanted to be on time.
There you go. Hey, if you guys haven't liked our Facebook page, please go over to facebook.com/GameBreakerTV and like our Facebook page. And don't forget to subscribe and like us on Twitch. Haven't been talking about the Twitch likes in a long-ass time. It's almost Christmas, almost 2015. Got lots of stuff going on for 2015. Working on some new stuff we'll tell you about really soon. Some new stuff for GameBreaker.tv I think you guys are going to be really psyched about. I can't wait to show it to you. I got to see a little bit more today. I've been talking about these tool sets. Going to get you guys all of the community, basically the community tools. They're going to get you guys really, really a part of GameBreaker. Or I hope so. We'll see. Maybe I'll hate it.
Bringing you into the fold.
Maybe I'll hate it. You hate everything. You're gamers. You just hate everything.
I know I want this tool set.
All right. So, More info on that really soon. Hopefully that'll be really early in the new year, as well as new shows and all kinds of good stuff. People have been asking about the set and stuff and why I've got this one camera. Doing some stuff in the studio. We're setting things up differently. We got a new show coming. We got some equipment that's got to be refixed. So getting back to the old normal stuff pretty much soon. So keep an eye on that and all that good stuff. And we thank you guys so much for watching the show every week. And we'll be back for some more MMO action next week on This Week in the MMOs. Have a great week, everybody. See you next week.
Bye.